stop, yo. Stop, y'all. Stop. Stop, yo. Stop, champ. Stop. That's your friend. Relax. Don't disrespect me. I don't know you like that.
Who ever disrespected you anyway? Chan, everything that you say comes out of your head. There's nothing
you don't know me like that. You don't know me like that.
I absolutely don't.
I'm
and you don't know me like that.
I know you like that. I know you like that. I know you like that. I know you like that. I know you like that, boy. I know you like that, boy.
I will fucking bury you.
Let's do it,
I will fucking bury you.
Running your mouth and talking trash is a great way to end up famous. Although if you lose, you might just end up on a video like this one. Stick around and you'll know exactly just how badly things can go for fighters who talk their way into an embarrassing defeat.
Sonnen, Chael Sonnen, how did he get his title shot? Do you think it has something to do with his qualities as a fighter, or is it all mouth?
His mouth gets him fights. What's his name? How you say his name? Chael mouth get his ass in trouble.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He let his mouth get his ass in trouble.
Chael Sonnen might be the most overcompetent trash talker to ever lace up gloves. But that doesn't mean he was always the one ending up on the receiving end of humble pie. No, this late career clash between him and the former UFC light heavyweight Quinton Rampage Jackson showcased another famous trash talker who made the mistake of underestimating a pretty motivated Uncle Chael.
I talk trash. I talk trash. But the thing is, it's like, I talk trash about people I'm going to fight who's actually in my weight class. This guy talking trash about ring girls, people that are not even in his weight class. He talk trash about the president. He talk trash about anybody. Now that's a little bit too much.
Rampage was highly dismissive of this middleweight icon, claiming that he'd talked his way into every big fight he's ever gotten, and that when it came down to actual combat, his only great strength was his wrestling.
He's excited for like 2 minutes. But then you just want to turn down the volume, like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? It's like he practices his stuff in the mirror, then he goes down and says it. He's a great wrestler. That's all I'm going to say, because everything else sucks.
Jackson, who was an action fighter during his prime, fell into a pretty heavy decline during these years and was accused of not taking fighting seriously anymore. And you could just tell he was done cutting down to the 205-pound limit when he decided to make a run at heavyweight. But unfortunately, despite facing a natural 185-pounder in the opening round of Bellator's heavyweight Grand Prix, Rampage was still left with some real problems in there with Chael Sonnen.
10,000 down. Again, low, high, and there we go.
This wasn't a muscle-bound version of Jackson ready to test himself against the bigger men. No, this was an out-of-shape legend who made for an easy divisional debut for the American gangster.
There in the center of the cage, this is Rampage's opportunity. That's Rampage, smart of Chael to try to close that distance.
In fact, it was kind of shocking how Chael was able to out-hustle Rampage in there.
Mo, the other side of the bracket. Chael of this fight will need the waiting. He's not that right there. Good attack.
Because if they were in their primes, our pick would definitely not be with Sonnen. But this was not prime Rampage. And despite talking a big talk, when the opening bell rang, we didn't just see Sonnen score multiple takedowns on his opponent, he also beat him up on the feet.
His hands together, it's not the smartest thing. It does open guard. Quinton's in an open guard, but he's passing the leg, steps over it. Beautiful job again.
Jackson looked slow, lethargic, labored, and a shadow of his former self. And despite accusing Chael of being a boring fighter, Sonnen put a pace on him that Quinton simply couldn't match.
This 3-round fight. But Chael is in that half guard and he's utilizing it against Rampage Jackson. It's not going to keep him from doing it.
A clear unanimous decision victory for Chael, and one hell of an embarrassment for the once great Rampage Jackson.
Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance, we'll go to your judges at cage side. Brian Miner, Michael Bell, Ron McCarthy, all scored exactly the same 29-28 for the winner by unanimous decision now. Advancing in the heavyweight world Grand Prix, Chael, the American gangster.
It doesn't matter whether his chin is weak or his chin isn't weak. He could have the strongest chin going, and such is the nature of my power that he would get knocked out anyway. It just means that he will have an additional excuse for when he does get knocked out. You can say, "Oh, I'm only coming off the back of a knockout loss. I shouldn't have come back so soon." All this is going to be. I know what the rhetoric is going to be, so leave him to it. Like I said, I have no control over what his excuses are going to be, but that's if he's going to be able to speak with us. You probably have to write it down or type it because his jaw probably be wired shut.
This one is kind of funny, you got to admit. Michael Venom Page just signed for the UFC, and most fans would agree it's long overdue. But during his peak years in Bellator, he was a pretty decent draw for the company. So much so that Scott Coker and his team took to giving him pretty easy layup fights in between the bigger names on his schedule. One such name was the unknown Irishman Richard Kayle, who had talked his way into a fight with MVP despite having barely any experience in the cage.
The first person to make a mistake is the one that's going out. So it's not just going to be cut and dry, going to be a blitzing, what have you. Whoever makes the first mistake is going out. I am convinced that's not going to be me. 100% that's not going to be me. Too smart for him.
The idea that Page would even fight someone like this was kind of bizarre. But with a spot on Bellator Dublin available, Page took the fight, and Kayle started working on selling it. Throughout the entire build-up, Page was trash-talking like a world champion, convincing himself that MVP was little more than a stepping stone between himself and world domination. He even started calling himself the face of Bellator, which was a bit of a stretch, considering he'd only fought once under the promotional banner.
But since I knocked out Keith McCabe, I called out, if you have a look after that, I called out Michael Venom Page and I called out Paul Daly. People laughed. After my second fight, I was calling out Terry Brazier and I was calling out Alex Lahore. People laughed. That fight happened. So, now the Michael Venom Page fight is after happening. People aren't laughing now. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that after 2 fights with Bama, I fought for a world title. And now when I knock out their so-called poster boy and they get the real face of Bellator, that after 2 fights at Bellator, that I'm not going to be fighting for a world title. And people can laugh now if they want. But they've laughed previously and they've been proven to be wrong. So
MVP seemed totally unbothered by his opponent's persistence. And as you'd expect, he was pretty confident that it would be rendered totally meaningless by fight night. And believe it or not, that's exactly how this one played out. A total non-contest. Kayle might have had a striking background, but he lacked any real athletic threats in there. No speed, no coordination, and he seemed to fall for every single feint that Page threw at him.
Those punishing elbows here, they are finding a way through.
Eventually, it was clear that this fight was only ever going to go one way. And once MVP was done clowning around, he proceeded to nail Kayle with a huge flying knee that sent him packing for the prelims once again. One of the biggest mismatches you could ever imagine seeing in top-level mixed martial arts.
There's a lot more talented fighters in boxing than Adrien Broner that don't get the credit they deserve. It's not saying that he's not talented. I'm just saying Al Heyman is responsible for this creation right here. Okay, there's detours. Okay, there's detours that he hasn't had to take. Okay, I was a talented prospect at one time too. You know what I was rewarded with my first title fight? Miguel Cotto. You know what his reward was for his first title fight? Some guy Rodriguez. Why can't you remember his first name? Okay? There's a difference. We end up on detours because of the match, because of the people that got all backs, okay? He's got to thank Al Heyman. Instead of praying to God every night, he prays to Al Heyman every night to make him the creation he is. This guy's nothing. This guy's nothing. On Saturday night, I want to prove to you how nothing he is. Nothing but talent. We get to the late rounds. You remember in that locker room at Wild Card Gym a couple of years ago when you were getting ready to fight Ponce?
If you watch this channel often, you'll know that Adrien Broner often ends up making appearances in videos like this one in the role of the trash talker who gets schooled by his more humble opponent. Broner is a really abrasive figure who tends to write checks with his mouth that he ends up totally failing to cash on fight night. But in this case, Broner is actually the hero of our story. And how did he end up in this position? Well, he managed to find someone even more abrasive than he is, Paulie Malignaggi. And trust me, when you match up a pair of motor mouths like these two, you're always going to end up with interesting results. Paulie talked just as much smack as Broner did in the build-up to this fight. That's saying something, because Broner is generally regarded as one of the loudest fighters of his era. But Malignaggi was clearly not impressed, taking shots at Broner for talking his way into big matchups, taking opportunities from fighters who were more skilled, but not quite as good on the mic. Broner shot back his fair share, don't get me wrong, But Malignaggi was the one setting himself up for the fall here. On fight night, yeah, this bout was close, but Paulie's a guy who was cursed with a total lack of punching power. You could just see how little issue Broner was having with walking him down and landing the bigger shots.
Well, there's a couple of scoring right hands, Bernard. And there's another right hand by Broner. Malignaggi now, welterweight champion, a prohibitive underdog. Has to be pretty pleased thus far with his performance.
He's hanging in there against Adrien.
Again, it was a competitive fight on points, but Malignaggi took the brunt of the damage here, earning himself a big old slice of humble pie.
Adrien, congratulations on winning the title. Paulie, come on in.
Hey, I'm just saying, you lost. I know I lost. But don't, hold on, wait, but don't brag about taking my side piece. That's my side piece. You don't get lazy.
All right.
This is a pro game, man. Styles make fights, grit makes fights. Yang King, with the skill that I've got, the grit that I've got, all the mind that I've got. His last fight, I never watched his last fight. I was out in Manchester, in a burger shop having a burger when he was fighting. So I haven't really seen any of him. But I told you the other day I saw him, and I was actually, me and Tony were sat down looking at him on the TV yesterday. Is this the guy everyone's saying can beat me? I remember looking at Tony, I was like, are you for real? Is this the guy that they're saying can beat me? I was like, I was trying to fancy him in my mind why they think he can beat me. Like, there was nothing special about him, like nothing special about him.
Ohara Davies put some real thought and energy into his mental warfare game before fighting against the great Josh Taylor. So much so that he probably should have worked on his actual skills a bit more, because the whole idea that Davies didn't know who Taylor was seemed a little silly. It seemed like the most obvious play in the Trash Talker book that he could have gone for. Ohara was doing everything in his power to appear nonchalant and unbothered about the matchup. So much so that he was talking about McDonald's and Five Guys far too much for a dude with a pro fight on his hands.
I genuinely believe that on fight night, I'm going to shut that guy up there that was saying yes. That fool up there, I'll shut him and all his mates up. I'll shut you and all your mates up. All the time. Roll some air. I'll shut Taylor, his coach.
And as soon as fight week rolled around, it was clear that Davies was annoying Taylor, at the very least. But man, if you're gonna play that game, just make sure you don't quit on yourself when the time comes to produce the goods. Because if you do, like we said before, you're bound to end up on a video like this one. Davies was there to put on a show first and foremost during the build-up, but Josh Taylor was a different type of animal, a 9-0 prospect who was expected to rise all the way up to the very top of the welterweight division. One of these fighters was extremely serious about what this bout meant, and the other, well, the other was Ohara Davies.
Taylor blocks those shots from Davies and comes back with a left to the body. Great action here in round 3. Josh Taylor winning in the battle of the two dogs there.
Taylor was just way too technical for Davies in there, and when the 7th round came, a blistering counterpunch sent Ohara to the canvas. And though he did survive, the end was just around the corner, because once Taylor smelled the finish, he proceeded to open up with big shots.
From Taylor, speed, feet, timing. Is this his moment? Davies turns his back. Buster stops it. Josh Taylor.
To the point that Ohara actually turned away in the middle of the exchange, signaling to the world and the ref that he was done. And Taylor made sure to rub it in his face directly after, which, in this case, feels kind of earned.
Well, I thought Taylor, I lost hands down. I quit. I got beat. I couldn't breathe. Whatever they say happened to me. I lost the fight. Taylor was the better man on the night.
What happened?
You know what happened. Come on, Kel.
What happened?
Kel, I used to box Kel all around the ring, and I'm not gonna lie to you, that's the honest truth. I was in England camps, and
you got schooled.
I never got schooled. Listen, I was training for the Olympic Games at that time, and Kel was at the juniors, and I used to school Kel in the ring.
I've never been schooled ever.
Yeah, come on, Kel.
The real Kell Brook has turned up tonight. It is over. Kell Brook seals the deal and defeats Amir Khan.
Old sparring partners generally end up having very interesting beefs, because even though both guys will initially go down the whole "what happens in the gym stays in the gym" route, the rumor mill will generally provoke at least one of them into talking about how their sparring sessions actually went down. And when that happens, all the honor and unwritten rules of gym warfare go out the window. That's exactly what happened when Amir Khan took on Kell Brook, another veteran of the British boxing scene who was edging towards retirement. In fact, both men would retire after this fight.
Khan's hand speed, still his biggest weapon, and this is fast turning into a shootout, Dave.
He's got great hand speed, but he's missing the majority of his punches. He's landing one, but he's missing 3 and 4 each of those clusters. That's going to tire Khan out as he goes along.
Something that, in hindsight, gave it a lot more weight. But Khan, being the ever-cocky fighter that he is, made a point of claiming that he used to beat up Kell Brook in the gym, while Kell was literally sitting there trying to disrupt him.
It's a good round from Amir Khan.
He's just stalking Kell Brook without doing much.
Amir Khan seemed to know exactly how to annoy Brook, which made the whole exchange pretty funny, especially when you add in the fact that they were literally sitting inches apart. Overall, it seemed like a pretty evenly matched fight, at least on the mic.
You can't take your eyes off it.
No, glued to it here. I mean, Cal, the speed of Khan, combinations, but he hasn't really found the accuracy yet.
But issues of durability had plagued Amir Khan during his best years. Problems with his chin that left him on more than a few highlight reels. And as it turned out, Kell Brook still had one great performance left in the tank. Unfortunately, the same could not be said for Amir.
At range, at distance, the flurries in and out, and that eye is just looking more nasty of Kell Brook. We know the history.
On fight night, Khan was forced to deal with some heavy punishment from Brook. And as the rounds went on, it got worse. Until the 6th, when the referee started to take a very close look at Amir as he ate the shots.
Still trying to walk him down.
We've seen it with Marcus Maidana. Amir Khan looked hurt, looked gone, and came firing back.
Eventually, the official decided that he'd seen enough and stepped in, saving Khan from a definite knockout. And though he did protest, this was a much cleaner way to signal your retirement to the world. And we never saw either man box professionally again.
The real Kell Brook has turned up tonight. Kell Brook seals the deal. Huge kudos to Amir Khan for staying, for standing with Kell despite losing.
Eddie, the point is key though, man. It's not about doing something. Let's show some respect standing front.
I respect you, man. You stand to get the belt.
It's not about the belt. I told you, don't stand there like you're going to do something to me. I don't care about the belt. Man to man, show some respect. Stand in front of me like you're going to do something.
The undefeated challenger, Dominic Brazil. The undefeated champion, Adrien Broner.
Anthony Joshua might have lost a step or two in recent times, but during his initial climb to superstar status, he had an air of calm and ease about him that really gave him a very cool and professional demeanor in the face of any overly willing trash talkers. And when he took on Dominic Brazil, we got to see this to its fullest. AJ was as chilled out as ever, confident that his boxing skills alone would be enough to get this one done. But
Now the long jab. Come on, take your jab off him. Don't rush. Don't rush. And again, don't rush. Come on. Good. Now move off.
But Brazil was really doing everything in his power to provoke the IBF champion into making things personal. At this point, Joshua hadn't even yet defeated the great Vladimir Klitschko and unified the belts. But even then, he was a force to be reckoned with.
Joshua again.
Job properly, the power, the accuracy, the speed.
Oh, Brazil comes back with one, took that, and then lands a combination of his own and rips through again. Horrendous tongue injury, had to quit on his stool.
and his total lack of interest in playing mind games head-on with Brazil actually made his opponent look weak by comparison. And it's not like Dominic had no reason to be confident. He was a 17-0 up-and-comer with a bright future ahead of him. But man, to say that he bit off more than he could chew with this one will be putting it lightly.
That anybody expected.
Changing up. What he's doing at the moment is working. He's winning rounds before unanswered clean punches on the button.
There are levels to the boxing game, folks. And Anthony Joshua was about to hand a major life lesson to his rival. On fight night, this was classic AJ. His athleticism and overwhelming power proved too much for Brazil.
Scouting mission over.
Oh, Brazil trying to just block some of these punches.
And by the time the 7th round came around, Joshua's first knockdown would quickly lead to a second that ended the fight. There was just a major difference between these two in many different crucial areas of the boxing skill set. And with that, Joshua edged closer to a shot at undisputed glory.
He's amazed. Doesn't have a lot of technique. Nothing to worry about as far as Josh is concerned.
While Brazil, though he would fight for the belt again, never came close to reaching the heights that Joshua operated within.
There's a complete no-hoper. There's a bit of humble pie getting eaten.
Heavyweight champion of the world, Adrien Joshua. If they touch me, if they lay a finger on me, you know what I mean, you'll see a different dude, you know what I mean? You see the darkness come out. I see myself knocking out Mike Tyson, spectacularly knocking him out. He cannot beat me that night. He cannot. I refuse.
Frank Bruno was a damn good fighter in his heyday, and an excellent technician who, skill for skill, would have gone with many greats of the heavyweight division. But there was one major issue that was a constant throughout his fighting career.
And I'd have to agree. Let's see how quick he starts. Bruno tries to keep him off. Bruno showing that he's not afraid, hanging on. Bruno's already tagged with a right hand. And there goes Bruno for the first time in the fight.
The dude had a real problem with durability, and specifically his tendency to go down to heavy punches. By the time his second fight with Mike Tyson came around, Bruno was a 40-4 fighter, boasting a highly impressive selection of wins, but 4 knockout losses.
Bruno is caught by a right hand and a left hook. Bruno comes back and catches Tyson.
One of these losses was actually to Iron Mike in 1989, before his stint in prison. But when their match in '96 came around, things were different. Bruno was the champ, and Tyson the contender. And Frank went to work convincing the world that Mike was simply no match for him.
Mistake early. You can't fix it, Jim. That was never great to begin with. A left hook by Tyson, but Bruno comes forward.
And fall on him it will, because Tyson is fierce tonight.
Tyson now showing some head movement. Abs seem to lift Bruno off his feet. And that's saying something for a 247 pounder.
There was an air of confidence to this British WBC king that really got the promotional wheels turning. 7 years of hard work and dedication to his craft trumped the amount of time that Tyson had actually spent in the ring during the same period. And over the course of fight week, questions started to loom.
The right hand catches Bruno. Left hook. Bruno looks ready to go. Now is when he's got to hang on. And he does.
Could Mike prove himself to be a world champion still? Or was this about to be the mother of all revenge stories for Frank Bruno?
I'll tell you what, if I was built like Frank Bruno, I wouldn't be afraid of anybody or anything. But Mike Tyson is a phenom. Abnormal strength, unnatural. He is a walking powerhouse.
Well, you can't train a bad chin to be better. And unfortunately, Bruno was having huge reactions to every big shot Tyson landed, swaying whatever momentum he was trying to work on. Bruno just couldn't deal with Tyson, and no amount of trash talk was going to change that.
The right hand catches Bruno. Left hook. Bruno looks ready to go.
Oh, a left hook by Mike Tyson. Flush on the face of Frank Bruno. Another left and a combination by Tyson. And this is what Bruno expected. He said he's not looking for the Tyson who fought McGillian Mathis. Here's a combination uppercut by Tyson. Tyson laying it on, pouring it on. Down goes Bruno into the rope.
And when the KO finally came, it took Iron Mike just 3 rounds to get it done, earning his title back with relative ease. This would also mark the last time Frank Bruno stepped into the ring, with all his 5 losses coming by knockout.
On a 5th round, TKO. It came at 2:55 of the 5th round. Mike Tyson punished and pummeling Frank Bruno.
And it is all over. It is all over here in round 3. Mike Tyson is champion again.
Like I was saying,
Just don't run. Don't get on your bike, bitch.
He's had a lot to, say about my resume and how I haven't fought anyone.
Yeah,
but
who you
he's
fought?
somebody
Tell
who.
Tell me who you fought.
It's him with half the fights he has. So, are you a bum? Are you a bum? Because you said all I fight is bums. Are you a bum?
Back up, Ray. Are you?
Are you a bum?
Are you? Who you
'Cause I'm
fight? Who you fight? Tell me who you fight.
I'm fighting you.
No, tell
and
me
that's
who
all
you
you need to
fought.
worry about.
You a bitch?
I'm
Yeah,
fighting you.
Right.
That sounds good. He said all I fight is bums.
Anthony Dirrell is yet another example of a guy who talks way too much trash for his own good, relying on brute force on the mic instead of any real artistry to his trash-talking game. And when he came up against Caleb Plant, the difference between their demeanors was truly evident from the get-go. Plant was well-spoken, calm, and willing to break down the stupidity of Dirrell's attempts to get in his head.
Stopped feeling each other out and started throwing some wicked shots. Dirrell landed a counter right hand, so they most likely.
It will be at Steve Weisfeld, the top judge, our unofficial judge, and Huff scoring 2. Plant able to land an interesting matchup, and I think Dirrell's equation.
Sure, he admitted that he was really starting to dislike his opponent on a personal level, but can you blame him when they're that annoying? Seriously, this was a masterclass on being a pain in the ass from Anthony Dirrell. But the most infamous moment came when Dirrell decided to echo that line from Bernard Hopkins, that he would never let a white boy beat him, something he said before going out and losing to that very fighter.
February of 2021, at that point I thought, all right, maybe Dirrell.
You train to your opponent, and I don't know how hard. I'm sure he said he gave 120% at camp. Dirrell was in shape.
A little more inspired.
Yes. Looks entirely different from the last couple.
In shape, this is a serious fight for him to do 10%.
Who knows if Dirrell knew how funny it was to quote such an unsuccessful prediction, but either way, the end result was about to be the exact same for him as it was for the legendary Bernard Hopkins. Except, unlike Hopkins, Dirrell didn't already have his legacy set in stone by the time he made this huge error in judgment.
Took a look at Lennox. Deontay Wilder back in the sport.
Yeah, great for boxing. But Lennox, you'd know, young, strong, and athletic.
Biting off more than you can chew is a good way to describe what happened next. Plant bulldozed his way past his opponent with total ease on fight night, cooking up an excellent 9th round knockout with a huge left hook, letting Dirrell know exactly how much of a difference there was between them on a technical level.
Getting the better of it, but Dirrell very much in this fight. In a single round. Nice. See the discrepancy right there in the punches landed as Plant picks it up.
It was an outstanding counterpunch, and the post-KO reaction from Plant tells you everything you need to know about how good that must have felt. All in all, this was just about as an embarrassing trash-talking showdown as you're likely to see. A piece of genuine justice handed down by Caleb Plant, and the perfect way to end this video.